I'm very glad to be here, and some of you know that this is my sort of fourth talk in 4 days. So I will try not to repeat myself too much and to introduce new things, but to present also for the people who come for the first time things that make the whole process understandable. So I thought I should reconsider my talk in a way that I will try to show my path as an artist and as a researcher, as a theoretician, from my beginning in the media art world to the work I did, or I do, in urban media art. And you can interrupt me whenever you want. It's totally open. You will see it's not easy to stop me, so please stop me. Try. Just try. It's your challenge of the day. And okay, let's go. So let's say I come from the contemporary art field. This is where I started. I was trained to know art history, art practice, oil painting, sculpture, whatever. But very quickly, I was working more with video in the 80s. I did a lot of video art, video documentary, video installations. And then I started to work with computer graphics. So I did one of the very first series made of computer graphics called Quarks. So this was at the end of the 80s. I started, and the very beginning of the 90s, this was broadcast in something like 15 different countries. It's got many awards with that, and everybody was convinced I would work, I would make animations, 3D computer graphics animation all my life. I didn't. I stopped there, and I decided that it was more interesting to work with virtual reality. So in '93, I started to work with VR, and I did different projects. But probably one of the best known is in '95, this project, which is interesting because it's connecting 2 different cities and 2 different continents. This project was between the Pompidou Center in Paris and the Museum of Contemporary Art in Montreal. So it was, the concept was quite simple. It was to dig a tunnel between France and Canada, so a tunnel supposed to be under the Atlantic. Of course, it could be a simulation, but this is not what I was trying to do. I was more interested in the quality of the experience for the diggers. And so I tried to imagine what kind of obstacle people would have to dig in. And I saw the obstacle is a cultural obstacle. This is the most difficult thing to go through. Technology, even at the time, allowed to do video conferencing between 2 people in different countries. Even if they speak the same language, doesn't mean they understand themselves because of the difference of culture. And as you can see, it was a kind of big pipe. People were in front of the pipe, used a joystick, and they just, moving the joystick, they dug into a material that was made of peaches. So they built an architecture that we're supposed to have a bit of sound here. So let me see if I can. I can't. Oh, that's a new, the new Mac, terrible. You don't know how to, I don't know how to get the sound now. Please give me the sound. No, it's possibly coming from my computer, the problem. Ah, okay. And if I do that, it will be better. I don't know how this touch bar works. I have to tell you, I really hate computers. Do we have a bit of sound? Yes. Not too strong. It's okay. So you see, we dig into paintings, we dig into historical material. If we dig a lot, we create big caves like that. Like digging inside memory, like finding fragments of memory that come, and that become pretexts to talk. And so you talk with the people on the other side, and the voice gives you the direction where to go. But you don't see the other. To see the other, you have to dig a lot, because it's far. And I wanted the distance to be tangible. But the video was, of course, floating where you were digging inside the virtual space. So after 5 days, people could finally, eventually meet. This is the first meeting.
Voilà. Alors, Mathieu, on te voit à Montréal.
We can see you in Montreal.
On te salue, Mathieu.
Everybody says hello.
Je vous vois.
Oui.
Vous êtes rouge avec un col blond.
You're dressed in red with a white collar. So there are many things to understand here. The space is the result of the experience of digging. Digging is happening in order to meet somebody. The space, the architecture, is the result of the process of communication. The sound is interactive as well. Instead of giving the possibility to meet immediately, it took 5 days. It was more about this distance, giving certain, making tangible the distance. Even the content was automatically organized according to what people were experiencing. So this is what we would call now a recommendation engine. And I've been working after that on many kind of cultural recommendation engines. So the space, the content, the event itself, the time, everything was totally related to the experience. So people used to come 1 or 2 hours every day until they finally met. And this is what happened. Okay. I did another tunnel, Paris-New Delhi tunnel, 2 years after. And in 2012, I did a tunnel around the world. This one was connecting the 01 biennial in San Jose, California, the Media City Seoul in the Museum of Art of Seoul, the SAT in Montreal, so this is Society, Art and Technology, and the CMC Creative Media Center at CTU Hong Kong, where I am now. Not now, I mean usually. It was kind of different tunnel. I just would like to show you my students, first-year students, interacting with this new tunnel. So you see it's a bright light, normal students. I didn't tell them anything about what it is. Alors, you will see that they finally meet people in Seoul through this tunnel that dig through cultural material coming from the French Museum. What is interesting is the interaction. I told them nothing. What they don't know is that the Kinect you have been mentioning before, the Kinect actually capture only one person. Second, you don't have to learn gestures. The only information I take is a distance. So when they do that, they change the distance. And this is why the space reacts. And suddenly it looks very immersive to them. Not because they are in the dark, not because they have goggles, not because they are surrounded by the image, but because the space, the image reacts in a very precise, accurate way. And they don't have to learn. We don't have to tell them, oh, this is what you have to do, oh, this gesture means this means that. So that's a very important point, because I could demonstrate that the more simple the interaction is, the more efficient the result will be. Okay, I have other things to show you. Last year in Hong Kong, I presented 5 new tunnels. Of course, the structure was slightly different. I didn't need to make a pipe anymore, because in the Pompidou Center in '95, I needed the pipe because the projectors were so low in terms of power that I needed to keep the light inside the tube. But here, I don't need that, so I thought it will be like skeletons. One of the tunnels is a color tunnel. This is the one on the left, where you dig inside colors related to country. Here it was Hong Kong. Hong Kong red, Hong Kong blue, Hong Kong yellow. And as you can imagine, you discover very quickly that the images coming from the web are actually often more political than innocent. So if I say Hong Kong yellow, you will find things really related to the umbrella movement. Hong Kong red, you find the flag, the Chinese flag, and so on. So everything is just automatically taking the images from the web. Another tunnel, this one, is a borders tunnel. So it's a tunnel to go through, I'm talking about obstacles, so to go through borders. So I just got a lot of images coming from the web with the name of the country and borders. And then I get images that look quite the same, whatever the country. And here we had 2 tunnels connected. And so people could dig through this image and to find the other one. This is color tunnel. Of course, there is a system that analyzes how people are interested by some colors more than others, and just provide the images in a certain order according to that. So that's, the exhibition was called Just Dig It. We go back in '97. In '97, it was a cave installation. That means a virtual reality installation in a cubic space. And I invited a group of people. People could come alone, but they could be in group, to make a safari photo, and a safari photo in the land of war. So these were pictures. Can we have the sound louder, please? I don't know where the sound is controlled. Oh, okay. Can we have the sound louder? Oh. I understand nothing to this. We really need the sound to be louder. It's not on my side. Because if we don't have the sound, we don't understand what's going on. Oh, it's coming. So as you can see, we are moving in a landscape with pictures of the Second World War and the Bosnia War. It was at the time of the Bosnia War as well, 200 kilometers from Linz, Austria, where the Ars Electronica Festival was happening. You have photo cameras. When you take photos, when you take, it's removed from the scene, becomes white, and is printed out. So it becomes material. You can can live with it. It's yours, but nobody else can take it. You just have to imagine that the city of Linz is a special city. This is a city where Hitler was when he was young. And we are here doing something like erasing memory. By making memory, we erase memory. And it's a collective experience. So it means that some people want to take things before you. Some take it as a game, but most of them, after 1 minute, stop playing a game and just try to understand what's going on. And so it's pretty intense, emotionally speaking. But everybody sees that we are facing flat images. It's not a simulation of a war. We are making photos out of photos. And when we erase something, you have the ghost remaining, so this white surface I was mentioning before. So you see a group inside here. So this has been exhibited in many countries. Yeah, I don't know, maybe 15, something like that. This is the kind of photos you get printed automatically. And you have the date, all the information on the photos, so it's like historical documents. This is another immersive installation, La Bilogue, done in 2000. The year is not written here. And it was between Belgium, Lyon, the Museum of Contemporary Art, and Dakar. And the three space, of course, the three exhibitions were simultaneous, so it was possible to communicate from one place to another. And people were, oh, sorry, that's a new effect. I understand nothing about this. So, I just would like to reduce the sound, please. Oh, sorry. I didn't know you have to go there. Shy. Okay, so you're talking to the people. I don't want to change the sounds here because I will destroy everything. Okay. Oh, no, this is not what I wanted to do. So you're talking to the people on the other side, and some words are recognized by the labyrinth, and a text is generated around the topics of these words, and this generated text is printed on the walls that you look at. So you look at a wall, you see a fragment of a text, and then you look at another wall. This is a following part of the text. So this is a generative text based on the words people exchange. So here you see Jean-Baptiste Barrière on the right, who made the sound work. And the sound was made of the letters, the words, and the sentence. So reading the whole thing and making a kind of core in all the space that was spatialized so you could move inside the text being read at the same time that it's written. Another kind of project, just to give you some samples at different periods. This one is more recent. It's 2008. I was in charge of making the museum on the two last floor in the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, you know, at the end of the Champs-Élysées. And this is, I think it's interesting to show it here because I practice what I call the critical fusion. I mean, I present the project in a way, and actually the real meaning of the project is slightly different. So this one, it was for the permanent exhibition, so I made a project which was finally called War and Peace. as it is a monument dedicated to war, a national monument dedicated to war and to army, I propose to work on history of the monument and the value as monument for war and peace. And so there are different things that are just, let's say, playful, like this one, putting a camera in the only hole where you put usually the flag and you see this, that becomes naturally interactive thanks to the sun, and people like that. I played, of course, with a slant, which was a contradiction with the Royal Avenue axis, where the Arc de Triomphe is, and which put it on the meridian, so localized with actually situated on the globe, on the world, and not on the political statement. So there is a big slant. I won't tell you everything about that. There is a kind of a game where you can play war against peace. And here you have pictures going very fast. And when you slow down, you can go deeper inside the topic, what you see, and understand that sometimes the same image can be interpreted in two different ways. And this is augmented reality thing to understand all the sculptures of the monument. This is an augmented reality telescope that was installed in 2009, something like that. That allows you to not only to get information about what you see from the Arc de Triomphe, but also to have artworks made here. One of them being the emotional state of the different districts of Paris converted into weather effects like clouds, rain, and so on. In 2000, I made this project for the Pompidou Center, Art Impact, where people were looking at, I wouldn't say VR, but panoramic photos, 360 photos, and what they look at become painted out in on kind of palimpsest. That means surface that you paint again and again and again. You cover with new information. And so you mix the visitors and the people on the internet could mix what they look at just by watching them, not deciding of making a painting, but sharing their experience of watching. And this is what I call the collective retinal memory. Of course, I found interesting to add, beside of the artworks, to add supermarkets, slaughterhouses, and things like that, more trivial. And we see that in terms of retinal seduction, the supermarket is very successful. The collective retinal memory, I used it also for this Cosmopolis exhibition I presented in China in 2005. It was an installation that had been presented and exhibited in 4 different cities: Shanghai, Chongqing, Chengdu, Beijing. So I use binoculars, virtual binoculars, like for the previous one, but they have to be more substantial, more sturdy in order to resist to a strong usage. And people could see panoramas of 12 different cities around the world. These panoramas were actually not tourist panorama, but panoramas about how the city grows and why it develops itself that way. And so the cities were São Paulo, Chicago, Soweto, Cairo, Barcelona, Paris, Berlin, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, Chengdu, and Chongqing. So you could go from one telescope to another and discover these kind of panoramas, which are not, as you can see, very touristic. Of course, we had a lot of additional information, videos, photos, and written things to help people understand what was going on. This is Shanghai in 2005. And this is how it works, you know. You have 12 people watching 12 different cities, 6 panoramas per city. And so these things get mixed just by watching different details. And so the city is built as an experience of discovering the city and the strengths of the attraction and the specificity of things we look at. So that was before sending the installation in China. And this, you can see the importance, you will see the importance of the people. They are the most important part, of course, in the project. So the light is on the people. There is nothing else to show anyway. So this was in a science museum in Shanghai. And we got more than 10,000 people a day in this, at this period, which was good. So I was happy to have a very, very solid telescopes. And so you see the people came family. What was really interesting for me, it was that this project didn't work as something for contemporary art specialists, experts. It was for everybody. So in Chongqing for the opening of the Three Gorges Museum, and you see the people discovering the cities and creating at the same time their collective retinal memory vision of the city, what I call the cosmopolis. I try to shorten a bit. This is an exhibition in Athens in 2011, an exhibition about architecture and ecology, but mostly made of videos. And these videos, I had to design how we will experience this exhibition, and so the videos were projected on the ground. So, as you can see, when we move, we become a kind of blob that can merge together when people come together. And we have a direct impact on the environment just by working on the image. We create distortion, we disturb, of course, the curses of the sound music is generated. Of course, the metaphor is quite easy to understand about our footprint and our impact on the world and messages, and then maybe they discover that when they look inside the box, their eye is actually watching the world. So everybody is converted into Big Brother. So, of course, same thing in Athens, same principle during the Olympic Games. So this one was an installation 2008 in Shanghai. It's an urban installation where the people were, I try to make it short. The people are converted into flashcodes. So you can think, okay, it means we are commodified, and we are not individual anymore. We are just products, things that people count, and so on. But there is a second part in these installations. I make it short as well. This is IDCD. So the flashcodes pave the city, and they grow, and they become the buildings. So the people become the buildings, become the city. And it's all about kind of a warning about the importance of the people in the city, the role they play, and the fact that very often the people who make the buildings don't live in the buildings. They go back to the countryside when they finish. And so the work on Cosmopolis make me understand exactly how it works in China on this, and I think all over the world probably. Okay, economic of emotion, this will be a bit long to explain, so I will make short. So just imagine that internet is a world nervous system. Oh, okay, I have that as well. So everything is about the place of the human in the process of producing art and in the economy now. So I define the two concepts of sublimation and reification as exactly what we are in between now. We want to convert the world into data. This is a sublimation process. Everything becomes dematerialized and can be treated by artificial or natural brains. At the same time, we would like our soul to become matter, to become objects. This is a reification. And we are navigating between both. So the project Brain Factory is a project to create a factory that will convert abstract concepts into objects. Make it short. So you see the concept, and then using EEG, electroencephalography, it takes the information to control, not to control, but to assess the production of the shape generator. This was in Art Center Nabi in Seoul, and where we installed one of the prototypes for this project. I make it short. Then, of course, the concept, the shape you have defined, is printed out. And here, for example, you can see a design. On the right, you see freedom. And here, on the left, you see freedom. And on the right, you see liberty. And you understand that freedom and liberty cannot stand if you don't make a lot of effort to support them. So on the right, this is a structure made by Eiffel to support the sculpture by Bartholdi. And on the left, this is a brain we design freedom, and the printer that generates the shape. Is it time? Okay, so this has to be a factory on the model of the contemporary factory, like Google factory, like Facebook factory, where nobody is there. People use their brain for free, produce, and the money goes only at those who reify the result of this. So, okay, I did a lot of things about the maps of the emotions, including making sculpture where the relief would be the emotional relief, can be big structure, and people can touch them to get back the information, the data that has been recorded. But now they are dead, they don't move anymore, so when we touch them, we just reveal the data. Sorry, I go faster. Emotion forecast is to use data and display something very important like the weather forecast that will tell you the emotional state of the world today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. It's very convenient. Of course, as you will see, the aesthetic model is Bloomberg TV, because all this project is about comparing the human factor, the emotions, with the financial factor, the stock market. And this has been presented thanks to very smart people in New York and in different places around the world. Tanya is not concerned except that she was a curator in New York. Okay, and then why, let me make it short. So that's Occupy Wall Screen, presented in New York, where I compare side-by-side emotion and financial stock. Same thing in Seoul, And I will finish by what I was supposed to talk to speak today. Oh, this is not coming, this? Just to show you one or two pictures of Escape today in Seoul. So we are talking about urban media art. So you see here in one of the biggest buildings in Seoul, in front of the main station, people could discover in real time the data from the emotional state and the financial stuff compared. Okay, New Horizon you have seen, so you can skip. So the ICC Tower in Hong Kong, so this was actually the topic I was supposed to talk about. So I've been in charge during 3 years of the content of the highest tower in Hong Kong, which is also one of the, maybe probably again still now, the biggest screen in the world, but black and white and very low resolution. And I had the opportunity to invite my MFA student to come and to make projects, and also to invite Jim Campbell here to make a project, and also to invite artists. So the Open Sky Campus is with the students, Open Sky Gallery is with, so you see every, for 1 month we had the content produced by the students, young artists and so on. And last year we organized the IZEA 2016 Open Sky Gallery Open Call. We got a lot of attention, a lot of artists who came, 6 were selected, and we had 12 talented curators who made the selection. And we presented for the opening 28 videos, the 6 selected, plus 22. Plus we invited another event which presented 2 artists. The only problem is that the last video was called 1 Minute of Friendship and became suddenly Countdown Machine. And so the Ad Oil team that was very active during the umbrella movement, and they did a very interesting work by inviting people to send messages, they were invited for this human vibration exhibition, invited at the end of the program, and they were paid for that. And they presented another, let's say the same video they wanted to present, but they changed the title. And during the night, they contacted the media. And in the morning, the day after, we got CNN, New York Times, and maybe 30 or 40 different media, magazine, TV, talking about this as a political provocation against Beijing, which is very different from the policy we have in the Open Sky Gallery project, because we try to be in good terms with the people, the owners of the building, that give us the equivalent, I don't know, of millions of dollars of space to use for the artist. So this is what they did. They displayed, they say, a countdown to the year 2047, what everybody knows as the date when will end the SAR status of Hong Kong, I mean special administrative zone. So first they didn't reveal anything because we knew that. It couldn't be a countdown because it was a video. That means every night the same thing. But if this couldn't have a real political effect, what it didn't have, it had a very strong, triggered a very strong discussion in Hong Kong, up to the point that this video has been removed after 3 days. What the owners of the building didn't want to do, but the producer of the event wanted to remove it, so asked the curator to remove it. So I just want you to understand how complex this kind of thing can be. And what happened is, after 2 months, the owners of the building said, we don't want to do that anymore. We stopped the program. So the Open Sky Gallery program that presented the work of 100 artists, stopped at this time because some artists did add an initiative in terms of communication. It's just about the storytelling. It's not about the work. Nobody cares about the work. But the fact that they decided during the night to raise a lot of attention on what it was supposed to be a very strong political statement, which is the date that everybody knows, even find that in Wikipedia, had as an impact to neutralize the possibility to do large-scale artworks in Hong Kong. So it's really interesting to understand that in some situation, the question of the context can make a big difference. When the Adore machine, this is how they call their work and their group there too, when they made the work during the umbrella movement, they projected the messages sent by the people on a government building. Of course, they have never been punished for that, and it was, I think, a pretty good thing to do. It was totally relevant. But here, they were invited, they were paid, they were part of an art show, and it was a tower where it was only at this time artworks presented. When I say this time, during the year, only artworks. So suddenly, the same kind of, it's not the same kind of action, but they just decided, without discussing with the curator, they made some things that put them into the light. And so the Samson Wong got an award as the Artist of the Month. I don't remember where, but symbolically speaking, it's very important. And nobody wrote one line about the 28 other artists that were presented at the same time. One line about the exhibition they were part of, the other artists of this exhibition. Everything has been obfuscated. What we want to say, and I'm writing an article with Lisa Park, what we want to say is the importance of the context. And the same action can have a very different impact. And so the article will be called something like To Blast or to Last. And this is two different strategies. The strategy I was following with the Open Sky project is actually a long-term strategy. And you see the skyline of Hong Kong, one side. This is the advertising on the skyline. Other side, this is the advertising on the skyline. This is the ICC Tower. We succeeded after 2 years to have more than 50% of the skyline in terms of visual given to the artist. And it was accepted, whatever the content. And now, this is finished. So the impact is very strong. If we talk about the political impact of the countdown machine, the political impact is not changing something about 2047. It's not revealing any information about this. It is just to neutralize the capacity for the artists to have access to this kind of displays. And now everybody is scared in Hong Kong. They don't want to give you too much space because they cannot control. So they get exactly the opposite effect. Now they are complaining because they have been censored. What they announced the first day, that means the message they sent to all the media was, of course, this video will be censored. They say that the first night. It was made for that. So this is what I call the planned censorship. So you do it to be censored. It's not a problem because the impact is very strong. It was a very strong impact. So they totally succeeded the media campaign. That was a big success. And at the same time, the political, the aesthetic thing, the video is not very interesting, but this is not, nobody talks about that. But the political impact is totally negative. So when we do art in a public space, we have to take this into account. can be very sensitive. That was it. Sorry, I have been longer than expected.
Thank you, Maurice, both for showing from the very experienced artist's perspective how technologies can be applied to art in urban space, which is like the opposite, or the other side, and what Priya Korn perhaps, she comes from the technology, yeah. So you're from the art, yes. So, Maurice, stay for a moment. I'll come back, please. So while we're just rearranging the stage here, would there be any questions for Maurice before we invite the other speakers back up and we have a little discussion? Yes, we have one over here.
Thank you.
What are you working on now? What's your next project?
I'm always working on different projects at the same time. So I'm working a lot on the brain factory thing, because I want to create the factory version where you have 40 people interacting at the same time. And everybody contributing to create a glossary, a formal glossary of the human abstractions. So that's one of the things. So the brain cloud, another project that will be done in 4 months. And some other thing, a truth tunnel, which is, of course, very actual. Very, I think you imagine why it's interesting to dig into the truth, and things like that. It's difficult to list, actually. I don't know. I prefer not to think all of them at the same time, otherwise I just become crazy.
One more question? All right, then I think I would like to invite, yes, Laia and Priya Korn up here, and we'll have a little conversation. I take this chair, and you choose one or the other. Thank you.